I am so excited to have this conversation with certified Mastering the Brain Game coach and advanced numerologist, Kristen. Welcome, Kristen. How are you today?
I am fantastic, Cindy. I'm so happy to be here. How are you?
Oh, so good. You know, I love anything to do with brain games, so I'm really excited to have this conversation.
As do I.
Right? So tell us, I'm even wearing my brain game shirt and I didn't even plan on that. Look at that go. So tell us a little bit, what was life like before brain game, before you took the brain game?
Yeah, before I took the brain game, I had just come out of being homeless for 9 months. I was involved in 3 lawsuits regarding my health. I was disabled. I was terrified of ending up homeless again because I was afraid I was going to run out of money, and I didn't know how I was going to work to support myself. So life was pretty full of drama, chaos, fear, anxiety. I had massive PTSD, so I, was having difficulty really functioning in society, because I was really having issues like communicating with everyone, and just so triggered all the time. And it was a very unpleasant way to live.
It sounds like it. That's a lot. Yeah. And you've got previous, like you were in a cult when you were younger too, right? So that's obviously where a lot of that must have come from, is that PTSD, right?
Well, it did, but then, I had spent several years working through all that. But then when I became homeless again, I had new PTSD from that. So,
Right.
and new trauma also from just being chronically ill for so many years as well. And so, it was kind of like PTSD on top of PTSD on top of PTSD, anxiety, depression, like all the stuff, right?
Yeah, just that vicious cycle of constant repeating patterns, right? Yeah. So tell us, what's life like after brain game?
Well, so the same year I was homeless, came out of being homeless, I started the year that way. I ended the year after doing brain game with a 6-figure income. It was the first time I had ever done that.
Yes.
My health had improved dramatically, and so had my relationships and my ability to function in society. And I, before I even finished the brain game, I think I still had another couple of weeks to go when I felt confident enough to start my own health coaching business, which I never thought I was going to be able to move into that quickly. So that was really amazing too.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack there. That's a massive shift, right? To go from unable to function in society and being homeless to $100,000 in a year and being confident and all of the, oh my gosh, like I'm covered in goosebumps right now. That's so
awesome. It was actually almost 200,000. And I just, the part of that was being able to come to terms with doing what was right for me versus always fighting everything. And so I was able to settle a couple of the lawsuits, which is what helped me receive that much money. But you have to understand, like, I spent my whole adult life in poverty. And so for me to be able to allow in a big chunk of money like that was a big shift, big, huge shift. Like, massive, because I had never, ever allowed that in before.
Oh, I love that so much. So this question seems a little silly to me, but I got to ask it. What do you love the most about the brain game?
That's a really tough question to answer because there's so much to love about it. But, overall, I love the impact it creates in people's lives. The impact it created in my life, because after I took it the first time and I had started my coaching business, I immediately saw, like, oh my God, I want to be able to teach my clients the brain game. Like, they need this. This would help them so much with their health issues. Like, they're caught up in all of this drama and in this feedback loop that we learn about in the brain game, and all of the anxiety and everything. And they don't need to be there. Like, they're in this suffering that's creating this physical illness in their body, which I didn't understand until I took the brain game. I was trying to approach it all from an outside in standpoint of, what am I feeding my body, and, putting good foods and supplements in. And that all helped to an extent, but you can only take that so far, and then you plateau.
Yeah.
Because you've got to address the inner cause. So that I think is what's so special to me about the brain game. It really helps you address that inner cause on such a deep level.
Mhm.
And then it takes you beyond all of the healing. And that I think is the key too, is that you don't get stuck in a program that's just going to help you heal and then leave you like, okay, well, now what do I do? Because if you do that, and many of us know this from experience because I've tried so many things before, is that you end up back where you started because you didn't fill that vacuum that you created with something new. But the brain helps you do that. So it doesn't just help you heal, it helps you move forward and beyond into what you want. And so it's a whole package. That's what's so amazing about it. That's what's so unique about it. And the fact that it does it in a very specific order so that it works. It works with the quantum field. It works with the universal laws. It works with the way the universe was designed to help us transform.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful. And that's why it's so powerful.
Yes.
It doesn't skip any steps.
Yes. I love that. And I love that you brought that up. How many of us have done all the healing courses and let's go to a healer over and over and over again. And you create a vacuum and then you got to go back and do it again because you've not filled that vacuum up with something. And that's one of my favorite things about the brain game. I always joke with my clients that I take you all the way. So fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you touched on it a little bit, but I really want to dive into this some more. What inspired you to become a brain game coach?
Yeah, it was really the impact that it created in my life. It really was jaw-dropping to me because I had been, in so much recovery work out because of all my trauma. I had been in group therapy, individual therapy, specialized types of therapy like somatic experiencing and the I one, I can't remember what it is, but doing all of these different things. And then I did all kinds of holistic healing and energy healing. Like nothing was really helping me understand what was really going on and how to interrupt it and how to shift it. Mm-hmm. And so that was really, really key for me, is like, wow, this is that powerful. I have to share this with people. But I mean, literally I'd be coaching and I'd be like, I know what the problem is here. And I need to but I hadn't done the training to be able to really bring that through my coaching yet on a level of integrity, which is important to me. And so, so that's when I knew. And it wasn't even, the opportunity to become a coach wasn't offered for like a year and a half. I had to wait till that was offered. And I was like, I really want to bring this into my coaching business. I mean, you could just see the difference, since then. When I do my one-on-one coaching, even it comes through, and how powerful that is, what a difference that makes in my business. So, even if you don't end up wanting to teach the brain game to, as a package, just bringing that into your coaching is so powerful, but then walking people through the brain game is also incredible. Right.
Absolutely. I love that we made you wait a year and a half. That's a long time to wait for somebody who's chomping at the bit. We don't make people wait that long anymore.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I am the direction things have changed. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So you've got other modalities. Obviously, numerology is a modality that you use, but I know you've got a few other modalities in that toolbox of yours. So how do you work in your toolbox of different modalities into the brain game? Because the brain game is really about understanding our own power and not needing all of those other tools. So I'm curious how that fits in with your business model.
Yeah, that's a really good question, because that was something I kind of was challenged by in the beginning. I was like, well, okay, so now do I not need any of these other things? But what I've come to understand is that because of the law of actualization, and everybody has their own moment when they really land into being able to approach it pretty completely from a spiritual level and not use any of these extra outside tools. That's not where you start. You do need this assistance many of us need this assistance from other tools in the process of the journey. And so it's not about, throwing out all the tools. You have those tools that you accrued along the way for a reason, and they make you the unique coach and healer that you are, that you bring your own special code, your own special flavor to the coaching mix that no one else can. It's like I always like to say, no one can do source like you can,
Right.
if you have your own, I just got full body tingles.
Me too.
You have your own way to express source, and that will include your whole toolkit of what you bring forth, so yeah, I know. I have such a random resume of like total mixture of stuff, and it's really fun because I get to just pull whatever intuitively feels right for that particular individual in at that moment. And anybody who comes to my Facebook group and participates in some of my free events or has done any coaching with me or has done BrainGAME with me, like they'll tell you, like, it just comes in like, and I didn't even know you knew how to do that, but I know so many different things, and so it's really a lot of fun. And I just intuitively know when to bring things in and when not to, and I think that's important to understand. And there's still more that I haven't really brought in yet that I know is coming. Like there's going to be some sound healing coming and some vocal stuff coming through. So that I'm really excited about. But there's so many things to tap into, and there's infinite ways of each of us going through our journey. And so I really love that about like this community, and just really embracing everyone's unique gifts and talents, and what they bring through, and even what they bring through in their unique coding and how they express those things. Like even if someone does EFT, for instance, they don't do it the same way that the next person does because they've got their own unique code in there. So even in that, there's differences, right? There's other numerologists in the group, but we all are very different in the way that we interpret and express the numbers. And it's perfect expression for the people who are tapping into it in that moment.
Yeah.
And so it's so beautiful how that works energetically.
Yeah, I love that the most because, there's lots of certifications out there that you can take where you can learn to teach something, right? And most of them, and I've done a few of them, are very cookie cutter, like do it my way, otherwise you can't do it. And I just can't stand that because as a 5 of diamonds, I'm like, I'm going to do it my way. Like, come on, right? And that's what I love about the BrainGAME is that it allows you to just teach it your way, and your way is perfect. It's so good.
Yes, it's true. You really get to pull that through. And I'm a 3 of spades. I love to create, and I am with you on that 5 thing too. It's like you want that freedom to be you and to express uniquely as you, and you do get that flexibility in the BrainGAME. You really do.
So good. So let's talk about boot camp. What was boot camp experience like for you?
Well, boot camp would have been my 3rd time through the BrainGAME. And I say that because when you coach the BrainGAME, you're taking the BrainGAME. So you're not, every time you teach the BrainGAME, you are also taking it. You're not just teaching it. And really, you're taking the BrainGAME on a much deeper level when you do that. So boot camp was pretty intense, I gotta say.
That is why we call it boot camp.
My 3rd time through the BrainGAME. It was pretty intense, but it was really, really rewarding. The intensity was in that first few weeks, really, and then once you got through a lot of that, it really started to land and feel comfortable. And I was already coaching, so it wasn't totally like, off in the wild blue yonder for me as an experience, but I really hadn't done much group coaching. I'd run some free groups for like, book clubs and things like that, but nothing of this level or magnitude on a group level. So that was really interesting because I chose to work with a group of 5 people for my first beta group. And so I had a nice sized group, and that was it was a really rewarding experience, and really helped me build my confidence and raise my value of myself as a coach and a teacher. And that's really powerful for me, because I was afraid to charge full price before, and to charge even for my other services, to charge what they were really worth, and it really helped me move through all that, which was really great. I needed that at that moment.
I love that
Yeah.
so much. Yeah. And I love that you touched on that. Every time we teach it, we're taking it. We are walking with our clients. It's not us just throwing some information at our clients. We are walking the path too. So I love that. So talk to me a little bit about the business training that's part of boot camp, because you're not just going out there and winging it and teaching it. You get this full business in a box as well. So tell me what your experience was like with that.
Yeah, that is, it's so powerful, the business training that's available, and it's not just for the brain game. You can use that in all of your businesses. So whether you have a business right now or not, you can move that out when you're ready to really expand into other things. And it really comes from a place of love, which is really important to me, integrity, alignment. You're learning how to run a business from a heart-centered, intuitive place, instead of from all of the other icky 3D models that are out there,
Right.
that I constantly get approached with on Facebook. Oh, come join my group and I'll show you how to do this funnel. And I'm like, oh, I just want to throw up,
Yes.
It's just like that. I don't like to do life that way, and I don't like to be marketed to that way. And so, really understanding how to connect with the people coded to you and allow them to flow to you has been so powerful, and really liberating, right? We talk about that freedom and freedom from anxiety and all of that. Well, it gives you that freedom in your business model too, because you move from a place of trust instead of making things happen, pushing through, forcing things, or not doing well or experiencing success because you don't feel comfortable selling in the usual, more society accepted ways. And so I really love that about it. It's really powerful.
I love it. So good. So talk to us about how you live and breathe the brain game, because as brain game coaches, that's what we do.
It is what we do, and we do it in a very human way, right? Which is not perfect. And that's certainly the way I live and breathe the brain game. I'm on my journey. And so sometimes I'll fall back into not picking up my tools, even though I know they'll help me, and all of that kind of stuff. And then I get to a point where it's like, okay, enough's enough. And then I pull back in and I, do it again and get back on track, get back in alignment. So for any of you who've taken the brain game before, which, all the people in the group that we're talking to right now have, you understand what I'm talking about. We've got these great tools, we have some success, and then, that old stuff creeps back in sometimes and we drop the tools. And so then we need to come back to the brain game and pick them up. And that's when I always know, oh, it's time to teach another round because I need to get back into this. So, or I'll pick up certain, weeks, like I'll go into, the week of values and reassess my values. Am I still, do I still have the same values, or, what are my top three, and, am I aligned with those or not? And, so I'll pull myself back in that way, but I do live, eat, and breathe it. And it comes through in all of my conversations. Even when I'm talking about numerology, brain game will creep in because they're so connected, numerology and brain game, because you're walking through that cycle of divine timing. They're both tapping into that quantum field, and they're both tapping into that ability to intuit the way things are feeling and moving in the universe, and channeling the information coming through and all of that. So it's really beautiful how that all works, but I digress.
Not at all. I love it. So tell us, what is your big dream?
My big dream for the brain game, or just overall? Overall, my big dream is to live in a world that is based in love, everything, based in love, a very beautiful, easy, peaceful, enjoyable, loving world, you know? And I know it's possible because we're creating it right now. And I'm already starting to experience glimpses of it. And it's fucking beautiful. It's fucking amazing. And so, and I love this about the brain game because I use those tools to help me continue to create that.
Oh, so good. So good. Kristen, thank you so much. I have loved this conversation, and you know, I'll talk to you about Brain Game all day long.
Yes, we do.
Thank you for sharing your dream with us and for sharing your experience with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.